The game plays right here.
Are you ready for some football?
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia.
Hello, this is Milton Baker inviting you to listen to NASCAR Racing right here on WCSL 1590 AM, 92.3 FM, and KTCBroadcasting.com.
Only do things incredible can, cause I am the seed of a chosen breed. You don't see too many like me, cause I am one of the reasons you do what you do when you wanna be me instead of you, cause I am still on beat, showing love to the streets. Come on, you know me, cause that's who I am.
Reinhardt would say.
Yeah, that's exactly what
As
he'd
they
say.
tune in for me.
All my fans back in Big D, Hunter. So everybody back where you're from, I want to say hello to everybody. We're going to have some fun today, and this is kind of a quick preview, and we're going for the win. That's all I can say. Going for the win.
Oh, God.
Going for the win. Go deep, Hunter.
Go. I can't do anything with you. I'm not here for like 2 days, and you're done messing around, making funny cutouts. We'll do it live. F it, we'll do it live. Whatever.
Yep. Funny cutouts. Speaking of funny cutouts, I got one for Hunter. Let's see if we can do it. There he is. Chipper Yancey. Look at Chipper Yancey over here. You pull the mic down a little bit. It'll pick you up just as well. There you go.
Wait.
Chipper Yancey. Let me get Kevin Romo over here. I got to turn my head the right way. I didn't think about that. So Chipper Yancey and Kevin Romo. We've had all kinds of things to do around here.
Obviously,
been real busy today. But we're excited about baseball.
officially, baseball. We actually have something to talk about it. Sort of. Well, still not really, but. when they vote on MVPs.
Obviously, Trevor Bauer is, from my text I sent you the other day.
That was funny.
I mean, well, if you pay attention to this show at all, you know that we're not fans of the advanced geek stats of the guys who never have actually played a game of baseball, don't know what situational hitting is or any of that. And this stat called WAR.
And then we can almost say, WAR, what is it good for?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm just going to read this stuff out loud, and people don't. I don't think they read their thoughts out loud.
Is this the Trevor Bauer tweet?
Yeah.
I wish you could pull it up.
And it's not even that, you know, and a lot of people will probably say, well, a lot of people are not fans of Aubrey Huff because of his politics. He's in the Kurt Schilling gang, so you know how that goes in public.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter or not, whether it was Aubrey or not, talking to him, it could have been anybody.
Right.
So so take it with what you will, but this is what was
You
said.
can find these
I'm gonna say
tweets
player A
on
and player
Twitter.
B. Yeah.
From Trevor Bauer.
I'd probably pull them if I really wanted to.
Yeah, but don't worry about it.
Aubrey Huff said so going back and forth with Bauer, I don't know where it got started, but this is the one that I just had me laughing. And Aubrey responded to Bauer about something to do with these negotiations. He said, the fact you said in your first tweet, I'll forward some followers your way. So that's what Bauer said to Huff. Huff says, the fact that you said that tells me everything I need to know about you. You would rather build a brand than win. That's why I have 2 World Series rings and you don't. Bauer's response, you know, this is a grown-ass man, was, thanks, Pookie. I know some people are only capable of doing one thing at a time. Others can walk and chew gum simultaneously. So Bauer's trying to make the point that he can do more than just play baseball, which is fine. But then he got stupid with this. And if you want to talk about winning, a stat called wins above replacement does that.
WAR.
Me 17.4, you 17.3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that mean for folks? Most people will have no idea because it doesn't really mean much at all.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because we're talking about fictitious replacement players. But the fact of the matter is that he's arguing, Hunter, over 1/10 of a point of a win.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do the math at 162 baseball games compared to 16 football games, basically Trevor Bauer gives his team, or has given his team, 1/10 of 1 football game's worth of help. And apparently to this Hunter, he's more proud of that than the 2 World Series rings. So the dude said, I have 2 World Series rings, and he came back with, I have better WAR. I can't do this shit sometimes. These kids, like, what are you talking about? You're bragging about having a 17.4 WAR versus a 17.3 WAR, which is 1/10 of 1 football game on 162 games.
That math just joggles my brain because I'm not very good at math to begin with. But
You only play 9 innings in a game.
I can tell you this. 17.4 is in fact bigger than 17.3.
Yes.
But you know what else is bigger? 2 World Series rings to 0 World Series rings. Which one of those actually matters?
So
to
he's bragging
two actual athletes that want
about
to
helping
win.
his team win 1/10 of a WAR point in regular season baseball games, Hunter. And meanwhile, and Aubrey just responded, I'll take these 2 rings over your 1% WAR advantage, and gave him a little smiley face, laughing face, whatever. And he said, the fact, and this is it, and this is for the people today. The fact you value an individual nerd stat over team wins is textbook participation trophy generation. And there you go, Hunter. And there you go.
Yeah.
Back to exactly what you said earlier. The participation.
And see, I said it
trophy
just jokingly because of what
generation.
Manfred had said about the World Series trophy just being a hunk of metal when it was talking about, obviously, the Astros cheating scandal. But now it shows you Some people actually look at it as just a participation trophy and they're stat chasers.
I think it's eye opening to some folks that just don't know some of these athletes. Some of them only care about their stats and the money they're paid, and what you just saw from Bauer. I mean, he'll sit there and argue probably against anybody. I'm trying to win games, dude. You're arguing over a 0.1 percentage in WAR.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when did that stat just become so perfect that we know exactly what that does? And even if, let's say the stat is perfect, what he's arguing about is 1/10 of a percentage of a game.
Yeah.
Baseball games are 9 innings, Hunter. So he's arguing about winning the 10th inning because he only beat you by 1 percentage.
That's a Mariano.
He's
that's a
he's
Mariano Rivera.
Well, Aubrey Huff is
thought
saying,
process.
I helped my team when one of the 9 innings barely.
And it's crazy to think like that too, because he's a starting pitcher. Trevor Bauer is a starting pitcher. If you can only win 1 inning and you're supposed to pitch for maybe 5 or 6, I think there's a problem.
You know, we have flaws in thinking how the war works.
Trevor Bauer
exactly
is a hothead
but
anyway.
good
He'll say
God
anything.
Almighty.
I don't even know what brought that up, but it doesn't surprise me that Trevor Bauer was the opposing or one of the people that were going back and forth on Twitter, because Trevor Bauer is he is a hothead.
Well, Hunter, why don't you bring up the Major League Baseball proposal, or not? It ain't even a proposal right now.
There's not a proposal. This is what's set in stone.
It's what's going to happen from Rob Manfred. Basically, what they decided, they agreed to, if they couldn't come into agreement, to let the commissioner decide how the season goes, and that's pretty much what happened. So
that's exactly what happened. Play ball, basically. Rob Manfred put his foot down and said, I'm siding with the owners. If you look at it in depth, obviously the players wanted 70 games. Owners wanted 60 games. Mm-hmm. Still could agree at least on the prorated salary. They came together there and were like, okay, the prorated salary, we're going to agree upon it. And they're going to start letting players come to training camps on July 1st. We'll be starting towards the end of July. That's when they'll go ahead and pick this back up. The negotiations have been going on for so long, but eventually it did. Manfred essentially did side with the owners in the games. That was what was keeping this holdup. At first, it was about pay. Then they finally came to an agreement between both sides. Said, okay, prorated pay. After that, we only want you to play 60 games. Players said, we would much rather play closer to 70 or 80. Owners were like, we're not going to have that. 60. Came down to Rob Manfred, and he said 60 it is. So training camps will begin July 1st, and then from there, we will go on to see when the MLB 2020 league will start. Teams will play their 4 divisional opponents 10 times, and the other 20 games interleague opponents. So they're going to get 40 games against interdivisional opponents, and the other 20 games will be out-of-division opponents. Rosters will start at 30 men for the first 2 weeks, then go to 28 for the next 2 weeks, and then stay at 26 for the remainder of the season. Teams will have a taxi squad. This is important. Teams will have a taxi squad that allows them to have as many as 60 players available to play in Major League games. It's a sprint at this point, with there only being 60 games and not 162 games here in the MLB. Who knows? Maybe somebody tweaks something a little bit. Maybe they need, because they might be playing more back-to-back games. Maybe somebody is going to want to have to sit out. They also definitely have to have this, though, in case one of the players does contract the coronavirus, and maybe they're afraid that they spread it to somebody else, have to go into quarantine. They need to have some players that they'll be able to pull up and fill their positions. So to be able to have this taxi squad, which will allow them to have as many as 60 players available to come and play, I think that's really important as well. And it also doesn't necessarily put the all of the minor league players out of work. It doesn't. It means maybe the top tier ones that have an opportunity to play at the next level in the future, they might get looked at as well to be able to be pulled up at some point. There will be a COVID-19 injured list, no minimum or maximum length spent on it. Standard injured list for 10 days, and the typical 60-day stint will instead be 45. Players will be tested every other day, even if they are asymptomatic, according to health and safety protocols. I think that's going to be something that's going to get old really fast for players. Is getting tested every other day, because the test is a big old swab just right in the back of your throat. Or if I'm not mistaken, it's either in the back of your throat or it's up your nasal cavity. And it's not a little swab. New. So to me, I think I would get kind of old of that, but I mean, you're going to get the money anyways. Yeah, the players originally sought the 70-game season, but they instead, Manfred gave them the 60-game season. The Yankees, Dodgers opened up to 7-2 favorites to win the World Series on this season. After that, the Houston Astros are at 11-1. And then the ones that are tied together are the Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins. I will do anything to see neither the Dodgers or the Yankees win. I'll do anything. I'll sabotage games. I'll do it. I don't want to see the Dodgers or the Yankees win this championship. I really don't. I'll be honest. I wouldn't. I think it would be the biggest slap in the face to everybody if the Astros went out and won the World Series this year without cheating. Because I've always said this. I think
although baseball would kind of want them to, probably.
Yeah, well, for the publicity, yes, and for the narratives, yes. Everybody else would just claim they were cheating again. But I have always said this about it. The cheating aspect of it is bad. They still had to be able to hit the pitch. Of course, it helps to let that you know what pitch is coming. But at the end of the day, the Astros still are talented. They got a lot of good ball players on that team. So whether or not they have to cheat, we like to think.
What if they're all not even good and they've just been cheating to be this good?
Well, okay, they're not that good and they're playing in the MLB.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but
because think about it. How long were they doing that? Was it just for the playoffs, or was it all during the regular season?
Years, it seems like. What if their whole team is nothing but Tebow's?
Good for.
And they all know the pitch now, and now they're all hitting 300. If
Tebow
Tebow knew every pitch, how would he be doing?
He'd probably be doing really damn good. Well, see, that's what I'm saying, though. I don't know. You still have to have the eye-hand-eye coordination to get that ball.
Well, okay, so if we're going to argue that, then steroids don't help you hit the baseball, does it?
I've always said that. I have always said about steroids. The only thing it does is maybe make it go a little bit further if you do make contact.
Right.
But you got to hit the damn thing.
You can put all the muscles on you want, but it's not going to cause you to swing at the right time, swing at the right pitch, swing at a strike. So there's a bunch of arguments in that. McGuire always said, I was born to hit home runs. He believes that whatever home runs he ever hit, he would have hit 90 to 95% probably of those. Whether or not he was, Bonds was mostly a doubles hitter, and it turned into something else. So, yeah, there's a lot of arguments that the Cron has been bringing out. I saw Tim Kirchin last night, and Max Kellerman arguing, or not really arguing, just talking about what it could lead.
What the hell does Max Kellerman have to say?
Lead to well, Max is on your side on this, Hunter. He wants less games and more important games.
Okay, well then, Max, I'll give you a pass on this.
Kirchin's on
most of the time. I don't like what you say.
Kirchin is on the 162 game. He said it takes that long to know whether you got. So they're arguing over 60 games that any team can get hot.
162 games. It takes you how long to figure what out?
Right. To who's the best. So they're making.
Excuse me.
So they were making the argument that
it was dumb as shit.
In the back-to-back sentences, they said that and then said.
But isn't Kirchin, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's a purist of the game.
Right.
Purists will say that they want 162.
So what they're
games.
arguing is that their complaint is saying that the postseason is just a crapshoot. Then why are we playing it?
I was about to say, that's participation trophy thought right there.
Let's get rid of the postseason.
Why?
And just play 162 games and whoever has the best record. I will never understand why I need to play the Yankees 20 times instead of 10.
To decide if I'm better than them.
And then
if we're split 10 and 10.
This is the old school argument on that. If the Yankees win 19 out of 20 games against the Red Sox and they tie at the end of the season, they still have to play a play-in game instead of saying we beat you 19 out of 20 times, and then the Red Sox win on a one-run game or something,
And they're in.
and they're in, and the other one isn't. And so
The only way that works is certain European leagues in soccer. That's what they do, but it's point system.
Yeah.
They go off a point system. It's 3 for a win, 1 for
Max
a tie,
said-
and 0 for a loss, and the winner is named at the end of the season who's got the most points.
So Mac's point was when they went to expanded season, when they expanded in the 70s, whatever, and they went to 162 games, is that they could have took 8 games out instead of adding 8 games out, and nobody would have ever known. Nobody would have ever cared. Nobody would have ever known, and we'd be playing under 142 games right now. He said, just extrapolate it to 10,000 games. We could need to know 10,000 games before we know who's the best. He said at that number he said, and this is what we've been saying, pretty much any number past 100 is just
It's irrelevant.
You
could
have
cut
enough
62.
data.
You could cut 62 games out and just play your 100.
And here's my question, and this kind of comes into college.
That's why I think 60 games, to be honest, is a good testing ground for the shortest season that we would possibly do.
And this is the college folks argue about this a lot. This is a big argument in college. Are you supposed to get the 2 best teams, or are you supposed to get the teams good enough to win the tournament, to good enough to that day? So them sit there and saying that you need to play all these games to know who's better. Well, football doesn't do that, and we seem to have no problem with that. So as far as baseball is concerned, man, the 162, that's a number that, with what they've done with the steroids, and then now, basic stats don't count according to Trevor Bauer. All that counts is WAR. Not even rings count when we're talking winning. So think about that. How can you have an argument with someone and tell him your guy isn't as good as mine because my guy has more WAR, which is supposed to be based on winning, but the other guy has fucking rings,
2 championships.
whether it's 1, 2, 7. He's got rings, and your argument is Mike Trout fans. He helps our team win, and he's never won a single playoff game in 9 seasons. Now, there was a thing, talking about him this week. That they did a thing on Griffey.
King Griffey Jr.
The disrespect that I have seen for King Griffey Jr. this week is just, it's surprising, but it's not surprising. We've obviously gotten to a point where this generation, and I know, Hunter, you're right in the middle of it, but they have no respect for anything that happened with a 19 in front of it. Not a 20. If it's got a 19 in front of it, it's like it didn't happen. And on God's green earth, King Griffey Jr. is the best all-around baseball player I've ever seen in my life. You can say what you want to about Barry Bonds, all the people can. But King Griffey Jr. is the best baseball player I've ever seen. So one guy on there tweeted on track. They tweeted out this stat. There was a meme at one of the networks, and it had Griffey on it. And my internet, did you got internet? I've got none on this one. This
Probably
keeps telling me to
barely.
run
If I hit the
back
refresh
negativity,
button, it
won't do
might not.
So anyway, the stat was, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. I bet I can find it on my phone better. But King Griffey Jr. had 7 40 home run seasons. 7 40 home run seasons. Okay? For you folks can do the math, that's 280 home runs. You know how many home runs Trout has right now?
9 seasons?
It's like 284 or something. So in 7 seasons,
King Griffey Jr.
he hit as many home runs as
Trout
has in his career in 9 seasons. Okay. Also in those 7 seasons, Hunter, you know what else he did?
Stole bases.
Well, not that. He won 10 straight gold gloves.
Great outfielder.
Not 1 gold glove, Hunter. Not 2, not 3. Not 4, not 5, not 6.
See, the problem is...
Not 7, not 8, not 9. If I come to you and say, this dude hit 40 home runs 7 times, and...
you can't remember, can you, all these numbers?
Hold on. Yeah. What was the last thing I just said?
Some home runs.
Before the home runs. Shit.
Gold gloves.
There we go. And, God almighty, that was just so stupid. And...
it happens, man.
10
Brain
home
farts,
runs,
dude.
Hunter. If this guy has 7 40 homer seasons, and 10 and all 7 of them he won the Gold Glove, and 3 other straight Gold Glove seasons. And the other guy, and also he led his team I think they had the best record in baseball one year. And the other guy has 2 40 home run seasons and 0 Gold Gloves. And your argument is the guy with 2 40 homer seasons, 0 Gold Gloves, and has never won a single playoff game, helps this team win better, and is therefore a better baseball player based on a stat that isn't even in the stat book.
It's not in the stat book. Not even in a coach's stat book.
Not in the scorebook.
It's not in the scorebook. No, I've checked. I've looked in the scorebook. I've had to keep a time
Runs,
or two.
hits, errors,
I don't see WAR.
Y'all
I
add that
can't.
up at
I
the end
can't
of the
figure.
ball games?
I'm pretty sure they're like, you can't quite do the math that fast to figure out WAR. And here's the problem. I think some
the
people have.
disrespect for King Griffey Jr. I didn't think we was going to get there with it. I just did not think we were going to get there.
If you're a sports fan like I am, and you're my age, we're in our mid-20s, or I will say this for late to mid-20s, so my age, and you're a sports fan, if you don't take the time to at least look back in the 1990s, even the 80s, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because I can sit here and agree with probably what a lot of people my age are. They remember the Cincinnati Reds Ken Griffey Jr. That's exactly what we remember him as. Because that's what we saw. We didn't see prime Seattle Mariners Ken Griffey Jr. We didn't see him with his dad. So for us, that's all we can remember. He was a little bit on the heavier side. You know, he wasn't quite as fast and agile as he was at the time. Some probably would have considered him, you should have just DH'd forever. I mean,
You
just
can't DH in Cincinnati.
I know you can't, but that's what we remember with Ken Griffey Jr. You know, at least my age. If you're
you are getting more extension, and it is way less control. Because I was a more controlled batter. I was either going to go right field, left field, just kind of, just hit the ball into play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a home run hitter, and I couldn't hit that style that he was hitting because you would strike out because you're taking chances and taking big hacks at different pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a style to hit 300, 350, but you can hit it well. And I'm intrigued by when I watch batters. I like watching to see if they do hold on to the bat one-handed or two-handed. I'm wondering if they've been taught a different way, because when you read the exactly about it, it's pretty interesting about how it is. I think I just found it. I'm going to kind of read through here quick. The first paragraph, Hunter, is called "Fighting the Old Schoolers," so that'll get you pumped and ready for that. But I just want the different. Some batters are home run hitters, and some are doubles hitters, and some are just. What is Mike Trout? He's never had 40 doubles. He's never had 50 homers. He's never batted 300 with 100 homers. 330 homers and 100 RBIs in a season.
He's done 30 for 30 before.
So what is he? Is he a really good, almost a leadoff man with power? He's almost a Ricky Henderson with no speed to me. Like he's a Tony Gwynn. Man, he don't hit as good as Tony Gwynn. He don't hit that good. He don't hit 330. I think his best batting average ever is 326. So it's not even. He doesn't hit high. He doesn't get a ton of homers. It's almost like with Bonds at some point. Let's say if I said Bonds was a 9 at everything, and I said Trout was a 9 at everything, would that be what I'm looking at? Like he's not the best at stolen bases. He used to steal bases. Now he don't. He's not the best at home runs, but he's up there. He's not the best RBI man. He's not the best defender. He hasn't never won a Gold Glove. So when you and that's the thing when people who've seen guys win 10 Gold Gloves, and you turn around and say this guy's better because of a WAR stat, and you just like the dude has 630 homers, Hunter. Shit.
Well, I think with them going obviously to 60 games this year, I do have the exact day. It's going to be either July 23rd.
You know the best thing about
or
that?
24th being opening day.
All of Trout's stats are going to continue, and I can still troll for another year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If you're 37 and 23, are you 14 games over 500 or are you 7 games over 500?
Shut up. I know what you're doing. I don't like it. Because they always talk. Shut up. They always talk about your however many above your losses are is how many you're over 500.
Right. So,
But
let me put it this way.
I know what you're
if
talking
you're in the,
about.
If you're in the NFL
Mm-hmm.
and your team goes 9 and 7,
Okay. You're 2 games above 500.
But if you lost one of those games, what would your record be?
Wait. What do you mean?
If you had lost one of those games,
you'd be 8 and 8. You'd be 500.
but you're 2 games over 500. Get it?
Yes. Shut up.
If you lost
Shut up, Kevin. This
one
hurts.
game, if you lost one game, but now you're 2 games over 500, how can you win a game and be 2 games up? I've always wondered that. Semantics, Hunter. Semantics. So technically, the way to look at it, I guess,
we're just redoing
if you're 9 and
everything
7,
at this point. We're doing it all.
If you're 9 and 7, you finish the season 2 games over 500. I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah, because you got
but that's not true because 500 is 8 and 8.
Right.
So you finish the season
1 game above 500.
1 game above over 500.
I understand
And
what you're saying.
everybody in the world will say,
but we've always done
2
it this
games.
way.
But you did. 500 is 8 and 8, not 7 and 7 or 7 and 8 or whatever it is.
We're done with this.
I need answers to certain.
We don't
questions
need
in this
answers
world.
to these questions.
Well,
we
what I
don't.
want to know is how you're getting on the internet and I'm not. I need a run diagnostic activity test. DNS probe finish no internet. I don't. It's not an emergency, but you need to do it before you leave. I'll say that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Any other
I'm
Major
gonna
League
start
Baseball
sending y'all
stuff?
service charges.
We've had any other Major League Baseball stuff?
No. Other than that, congratulations, baseball. It only took you, like 60 days to finally come down to the same decision. That's so damn stupid. Anyways.
All right, so...
Past baseball.
I'm going to do a quick thing for a local... We'll talk more about this on Saturday, but I wanted to run through this. I did a little research yesterday. Hunter, a little fun. This is the list of local athletes in our broadcast counties who have played in an NFL regular season game. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not practice squads, not drafts, not playing in the preseason. You have to have played in a regular season NFL game. Now, the counties, of course, we do here are Cleveland, Gaston, Lincoln, and Rutherford counties. That's where our radio stations are. But we do have a broadcast area, and Hunter is a Bandy's Trojan, and I don't have them on my main list, but I do want to mention them for the listeners, that Bandy's does have 2 NFL players. Do you know either of them?
Justin Harper.
There you go.
I can't remember the other one.
Shane. Know his last name?
Was it Green?
No. Burton.
Shane Burton.
Probably played at Bandy's high school in 91-ish. Played in the NFL from 96 to 2003. Defensive
Shane
lineman.
Burton. I probably should have known that. Probably should have known that.
All right, so Hunter and I, we'll get into more of this on Saturday and let Tom and Terry make their comments. But I just few notes just going over this.
Mm-hmm.
We have 18 teams in our broadcast. 22 in our broadcast counties. Only 12 of them has produced an NFL player. Looking at this, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 12 have produced a player since the year 2000. The high school with the most players, I don't have the name, I'll get that for you Saturday, but North Carolina high school with the most players is 11 from a school. There's one school in the country. It's one of those big recruiting schools that has had 70 players make the NFL.
Wait. From North Carolina?
No. North Carolina is 11.
So that's the most
one.
we've had out of one school.
Out of one school is 11. There's a school in Texas that's had 70
That don't surprise me.
NFL
if you would have
players.
said guess the state, I would have said Texas, California, or Florida.
That North Carolina school at 11 don't even rank in the top 50 in the country. Like there are.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
It's not even
I bet you
close.
Georgia's got a whole lot of time.
It's the list is mostly Florida and Texas and then California.
It's just
And
population size.
Right.
Can't
and
help
then,
that.
And then, but North Carolina's way down the list with that one with 11. Some of the ones
Could I guess the school in North Carolina?
I would have to look it up if you'd give me 2 seconds. We it's not that hard to
I mean,
find.
I don't have to today, but
It's not that
is
hard
it a
to-
household name? Just tell me that.
The school, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember.
Oh,
I just wanted to make. I
oh.
wanted to make sure. I don't remember. Let's see. Where's my NFL.com? I just looked up all high schools. Here we go. I didn't know you could actually do this, but this is pretty cool. So ProFootballReference.com has all kinds of things you can talk about. See, I get excited to start talking. Put all my words into one word. All right, top high schools in America. 70 is actually Virginia. Fork Union Military Academy. Numbers 2 with 58 is Long Beach Polytechnic. Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas is 37. School in Miami with 35. Los Angeles 33. New Orleans with 32. Players out of New Orleans. Good grief. So there's your numbers for that. Now let me get you down to North Carolina. Let's see. All states and countries. North Carolina's had a total of 616 players. They rank 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th in the country in states producing NFL players, if you were wondering.
Mm-hmm.
The most active state, now California's had the most overall, but the most active state right now is Florida with 283 active players.
Doesn't surprise me.
North Carolina has 75 active NFL players. In North Carolina, I'll tell you the city. I don't know if you can name the school. Fayetteville.
I promise you I can't name the school.
E.E. Smith is the name. Number 2, you've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
You know the school.
Just tell me the name.
Richmond.
Yes.
Number 3 is T. Wingate Andrews in High Point with 9. They're tied with Independence with 9.
That's the name I was waiting to hear.
4. Well, they're tied for
Independence.
3rd. Independence is tied for
Independence.
3rd. No school, it seems like. No school in North Carolina has more than one. No. Ooh, let me back that up. I was going to say there's a couple that do have more than one current players. Guilford right now has 3. Charlotte Latin has 2. Roanoke Rapids has 2. Butler has 2. Mallard Creek has 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mallard Creek's their 2 players that are active now, Hunter, is the only 2 players they've ever had.
Mallard Creek had Thaddeus Moss.
It's his 2 right there.
Is that one of them? Did they list his
I
name?
can click on it. Let me see.
It probably is Thaddeus Moss. He
Who's-
just got
who's
picked up by
Thaddeus
Washington.
Moss?
That's Randy's son.
Oh. I thought you were talking about an old guy.
No, I'm talking about current.
I'm sure it'll show. Well, has he played an actual game?
No, not yet.
Then it's not going to show up.
Okay.
This
He
is
was just
only
he
in-
was just picked up.
Right.
He was an undrafted free agent for Washington.
So when I say these and send these to these folks, they give me all kinds of shit. Like, well, this guy did this. Like the Burns fans was like, this guy, Derek Ferguson played for so and so. I'm like, he played in a preseason game. He never.
Yeah, never made a
So
roster.
you have to have played in an NFL game. Mallard Creek, DJ Humphreys, and Jalen Samuels.
Ooh, I know DJ Humphreys.
If you know either one of those.
And Jalen Samuels, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's a running back for Pittsburgh.
Is
Like not.
I
think he's
I
the
just
backup.
backed out of it. So
You know what? Do you think? Go ahead and talk. I can look it
do
up.
your thing. Well, I was just really wanted to talk a little bit about Hunter. So Cleveland County is a powerhouse.
Yeah, Jalen Samuels, Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what I
Right.
thought. Because he played it. If I'm not mistaken, he played at NC State.
Cleveland County is a powerhouse in North Carolina in football. Shelby, Kings Mountain, Burns, Crest, all with state championships. But what's funny is that they haven't produced
NFL
talent the way, almost, as you would, I'm going to say expect / comparably to other counties that you wouldn't think of. So, for example, none of those schools are the number one on our list. Hunter, you remember who it is that had the most players from what I sent you?
What, in Lincoln?
Nope. Chase. The Chase Trojans, Hunter, have never beaten the Shelby Golden Lions in their school history. And the Shelby Golden Lions had 3 NFL players, and they had 2 from Cleveland High School in the 70s. I don't know if that doesn't count for Shelby, apparently, because they've had people. Tom London was. I'm not sure exactly how the school systems work. I'm sure someone could explain it to me. If Cleveland counts for Shelby, they've had 5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't count for Shelby High School, they've had 3, and Chase has had 4. RS Central has had 2, and East Rutherford 1. So Chase, RS Central, and East Rutherford added together have 7 professional football players. Kings Mountain, Burns, and Crest added together have 7 professional football players.
It's not easy to get there, folks.
Right. So
it's not easy to get there.
And you got to think about it. So Lincoln, Darren Roseboro gets to state. I mean, think about it. When you look at a college football team, how many players on state's going to get drafted on a team?
Maybe 3. If you talk drafted, undrafted, I don't know, but just drafted, because you just got to think about who your top tier players are. So last year, I don't think NC State had a player go in the first round, and I'm not just throwing shade at them.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina did, and I know that. So I mean, I don't know. You think about it, there's only 7 rounds.
Mm-hmm. So there's
a possibility of maybe only 3 of your players from, because they're not all they're not all Alabamas, they're not all Texases or the big SEC Big 12 schools that produce 10 to 15 NFL caliber players. No. We know what our schools are.
Mm-hmm. So Shelby,
so maybe 3.
So for example, like Roseboro, he's bigger than every high school kid on the field.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw him in person, you're like, that kid's going to college to play big ball.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Foster, same way at Crest. But then when they get on the field with all the other people,
they're not the biggest anymore.
They're all the same size.
They're not the biggest or the fastest anymore.
I didn't think there was human beings bigger than Justin Foster. And their whole line is the same size or not bigger than Justin Foster at Clemson. And so you just have to think, if that guy is so big and so good.
It's the same with, you can say the same with Chaz.
And you look at these.
All of them.
And you look at that, and you talk to these high school players, like, think about Shelby, though, Hunter. All these kids who've went to college to play ball, all these state championships, not a single player in the 2000s has made the NFL. How about Lincoln? Lincoln County. Not even Lincoln, North Lincoln, East Lincoln, West Lincoln. Lincoln Wolves is the only school to have a player make the NFL. They've had 2. One in 1968, and then they didn't get another until 2013. 45 years later, between people in Lincoln County.
Mm-hmm.
And then that guy blew his hand off with fireworks. You know that story? C.J. Wilson?
Mm-mm.
Lincoln and C.J. Wilson was a quarterback for Andre's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At home in the summer for the 4th of July.
He pulled a Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yes, Hunter. If you're at a fireworks show and there's one person out of 50 there with 2 commas in his bank account, is he the guy handling the fireworks?
No, not me. Wouldn't be me.
Who in God's name gave him the firework? Who approved that? I'm sure that's what the Tampa folks are saying. But CJ, a good player, just tragic what happened to him. How about Ashbrook? They haven't had a player make the NFL since 96. 24 years. These guys sit here on Friday nights and poo-poo when I talk about Bessemer. Bessemer City has had 2 pro players since 2000. Kings Mountain hasn't. Shelby hasn't. Neither one of them has had a single pro player in the 2000s. Bessemer's had 2. In fact, since then, if you want to include Burns, Scotty Montgomery in 2002 and Tony Scott in 2001, well, Crosby lasted until 2003 and McClary 2001. So Bessemer's players still lasted longer in the NFL than 3 of the 4 Cleveland County schools.
And see,
And real quick, one thing I want to point out as I get to this: the Chargers, Jonathan Bullard, Brandon Spikes. You remember Chris Coleman, wide receiver for State? Robbie didn't even mention him in Mount Rushmore. He made the NFL. Do you remember him mentioning him?
No.
I texted him. He said, "No, I totally forgot." South Point's got Corin Robinson. He played in high school when I was there. Corin, wide receiver. He was a running back at South Point. Got converted to wide receiver and made the NFL as a wide receiver. Now, Tanner Muse has been drafted by the Raiders. We'll see if he makes the field, makes the team, and gets on. We've got Surratt's coming up, maybe. We've got some other guys that might make it, but right now, this is it. And the point I wanted to make a little bit about some of this, Hunter, is, and I try to tell Dennis, and I try to tell some of the Shelby folks and some of these folks that go to these bigger schools, your number 1 and number 2 are just as good as our number 1 and our number 2. The problem is
you've got
6,
better
7, 8,
threes.
9.
You've got a supporting cast.
So when we went and played baseball and played basketball against other schools, at every sport that I played at in Cherville or Bessemer, we competed against everyone on every level except for football, because again, and football is definitely determined by what the trenches. So you know our friend Andre that works here with us. So at Cherville and Bessemer, we have 2 Andres, maybe 1 certain years. At these other schools, there's 5 of them and 4 of them. So and another thing as far as Bessemer and Cherville goes, Hunter, it would blow my mind. I wouldn't know what to do on a football team. I don't even know if I would play, because I liked playing so much, if I only played offense or defense. You see what I'm saying? So some people like it, some people don't.
That's just, that preaches back to
but
one
at
of
the
my
smaller schools, what I'm saying is that the good players then also have to play both sides of the ball. So at Shelby or Crest or whatever, they can stick Brandon Spikes on defense and not have to worry about it. But at Cherville, if he would have to play offensive line at Cherville and not only learn how to play linebacker,
Right.
he would have to be one of our linemen. So that's the difference in these bigger schools. It's just a numbers game, because you can look at this right here and be like, talent wise, it's the same everywhere. Every school has 1, 2, or 3 players. RS Central 2, Ashbrook 2, Lincoln 2, Huss 2, Bessemer 2, Kings Mountain 2, Burns 2, Crest 3, Shelby 3, South Point 1, maybe 2 this year, East Rutherford 1. And it's there's a talent level. There's talent, effort, and then success. You got to have some luck along the way for this to happen. And Hunter, just going to a school and being good, and your team being good doesn't lead to professionalism.
No, and people probably can give me a bunch of slack for it, but I don't like high school football. I cover it and I enjoy watching football, but I'm not knocking on Terry or the other people that eat, sleep, breathe, and love high school football, and this is
about
Look,
put him
Virginia
on
Tech
returns.
has produced cornerbacks in the Fuller brothers.
Mhm.
They know how to coach up a cornerback. I think Farley's got a great opportunity out of Virginia Tech.
the
If
thing
he
about
stays
him-
healthy. If he stays healthy.
The thing about him, with that speed, Hunter, to me, it's almost like he might make it doing what he's doing. And the same thing with Chaz. He might make it doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, you're wasting some offensive talent.
Oh, if he has hands,
you're-
if he has hands as a cornerback at that speed, why would you not try? Because he's not big. Why would you not line him up as a slot receiver?
He would be my punt and kick returner, and we ain't even going to talk about it. Like, well,
Well, as long as they keep kick returns and stuff in the game.
well,
then
that's true. I guess that is
Yes.
kind of funky, but I mean, for real, like any chance that I could get, I've seen him Hunter. They were hiking him the ball at quarterback, and just running a quarterback sweep, and he was beating an ACC receiver to the corner, and it wasn't like it was just he needed blocking. It was overwhelming blocking. I mean, it was straight, dude. It was straight video game. It was straight Bo Jackson video game. Michael Vick video game. If you got the corner, he was gone. And I said it over and over in that press box, and the folks weren't too happy with it. But I wasn't the one not tackling him. But my God, you know, if you're not going to give a kid credit for an outstanding performance, what are we there for?
Yeah.
Like we're there for high school.
I guess
sports.
I'm just harping on the fact that
Yeah.
look, when you go to high school games, obviously you're what a Division I athlete looks like. Okay,
God,
I'm
telling me looks.
I'm sorry. I mean that his play style and everything. I'm not trying to crush nobody's spirits. That's just why I don't have much of an emotional connection though to high school ball. And whether it's soccer, basketball, baseball, football, unless you just have the opportunity to where I can just keep up with you after, it's like some people would say, in certain high school classes or just certain classes in general, just get me through this semester because once I'm done with it, I'm going to forget it. It's like some general education classes. Just going to go in one ear and right out the other. They're there for 2 years. Once they're done, it's right out the other. Unless they're special and just go on to the next level. That's just how it is for me. And I just, some people, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks like that either.
Not letting me even add it to it. Sorry, folks. I'm going to keep it on this. I did get the note just now, Squeaky, about the not audio on that last shot. We were trying to fix it, and it's kind of weird. It like Hunter's sitting there watching me add it, and it's not adding the audio to it, so the audio is messed up on that last shot. Sorry if we've had that issue today. So any of our viewers and listeners, if you're listening and you got some silence, I don't know what to tell you. Other than we're sorry and we didn't know we messed up. We can hear ourselves, and what happens is when we switch that other shot, it's just not showing up. And as far as the audio, so I've got to be a little more conscious on that one. I guess let me get rid of that stupid shot one more time. I'm gonna switch to it for you folks. Listen for just one more second, see if I can get it to work the right way. So we're gonna switch over. You're gonna see me talking and moving, but I guess you're not gonna hear nothing like you have for a little bit on some of this stuff. Well, what happens is, Hunter, is that ever since they updated this new update, we've been having crash problems. So I would about guarantee if I exited off the show and come back, we would have it. But either way, for folks watching and listening, we got a few more bits to go through. I'm sorry.
Let's just go ahead.
God, if they I don't even know what they missed. I know they missed some because I had been switching and using that quite a bit today, and now I got to get rid of this artwork. I don't know. I do know one thing that is working, Hunter.
Kevin.
I do know one thing that is working.
Oh, my.
Hi, guys. For you folks at home, Kevin Romo is back in the house. Squeaky. Hi. Is this creepy?
Oh, my God, yes.
I can just move my mouth. Check, 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 check. You think that's creepy?
I think it's weird.
What's the Tony Romo thing? Hunter, on this next play, Tom Brady's going to drop back to pass, fake the pass to Gronk, throw it to Godwin. He's going to do a reverse alley-oop to Mike Trout on the sidelines for a 3-point shot.
Well, I mean, at this point.
Yeah, I got silly for a second. All right, hey,
At
folks.
this point, we might as well talk about what we want to talk about with the NBA, wrap it up with NASCAR, and tuck our tails between our legs and try and enjoy the rest of the day.
I could do this all day. I really could. Put Hunter in. There you go. Let me set Hunter up. There he is. Look at that. Look at Chipper Yancey.
God almighty.
Hey, give a quick promo, Hunter. Say, watch Atlanta Braves baseball on KTC. Well, we're going to do that after the show. You want to practice for the folks at home? Say, listen to Atlanta Braves baseball on KTC broadcast.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball here on KTC Broadcasting.
Oh, that's going to look good.
There you go.
We got some clips of Andre to play y'all one day. I got to go through them and see. Give you a quick preview of what's coming up Saturday. Hello. Hello. You ready for this one, Hunter? I got to get.
Oh,
Let me
God.
get Hunter's camera over here. We'll get him in here. I got Andre in there right now. You folks listening online, I know you're getting some great audio. We're having fun with our some artwork. And I don't care. What y'all think?
Okay.
So, this, Hunter, is how from now on.
We're just going to do the show this way.
No, this is how we're going to discuss our Mount Rushmores. So,
Okay.
we're going to sit just like this. And I'm like, well, you know, so speaking of Mount Rushmores, we had number one Aerosmith and Metallica, and the other day of American rock bands.
Nice.
So so when Tom and Zach's here, what we can do is, if it's just one, we'll take one of them out and leave the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when all four's here, I'll get one for Saturday. That's what we got. I got to make one for Saturday for Terry. I'll just take the names off,
Yeah.
and then we can put whoever's face we want in there.
Nice.
Is that going to work?
I think it'll work.
I think Hunter
it's
likes it.
perfect.
Hunter,
I think it works.
You didn't expect this today, did you?
No, I didn't expect any of this. I didn't expect any of this today. I have come into just creations, and I don't know what to do about
I did
them.
not chop down the cherry tree. I promise.
7 years ago.
Wait a minute. Is that up 28-3?
28-3.
All I know is Tony Romo participated in the greatest football game I've ever seen when he come back from 6 turnovers and 2 onside kicks against the Buffalo Bills. You can't beat that. Hey, and a kick return. And one was a pick 6. Think about how good of a quarterback you have to be, Hunter, to have 6 turnovers, one's a pick 6, a kick return, and 2 onside kicks, and still win the ballgame.
Gotta be pretty damn good of a quarterback. That's a lot to overcome.
You would think so, you're right.
That's a lot to overcome.
All right, where are we at in the NBA?
Players are opting out to play.
Who's opting out?
Avery Bradley right now is the first one that I know that has opted. Well, that has opted out not due to coronavirus reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are looking to sign J.R. Smith to replace. Well, he is the front runner to be signed by the Lakers to take Avery Bradley's spot. And I hate to put it this way, but I think he's going to play better than Avery Bradley anyways. I think he'll just fit better. He knows how to play with LeBron. Obviously, he's won a championship with LeBron.
What? You're doing good.
Anywho,
Hunter, I'm going to have like 30 of those made by next week. So it's just going to be nothing but
Anywhom,
You sitting in people's faces.
all I have to say is the NBA is still, I guess, planning on coming back.
There you
The NBA is still planning on coming back. We'll see how many other players opt out of playing
Right.
in the bubble. It's probably going to be a trend. Or I don't want to call it like trendy, but it's probably what we're going to see. We're going to see more players opting out. They don't want to go play in this little bubble, whether it is for health reasons or it is because they want to focus on the Black Lives Matters movement.
Has baseball or the NFL or college or anyone announced what we're going to do when players are tested positive for corona? Will we be forfeiting ball games?
You mean
Well-
if they?
Well, two Phoenix Suns just
No, I
tested
know.
for
Are
it.
you meaning like if it's game day and they test positive?
all that stuff.
Because
Well,
I told you the MLB has got a taxi squad of 60 players they can pull from
Well,
for
well,
health
that's-
or for injury or health or COVID
well,
reasons.
if the question is, Hunter,
So no, not really. I guess they're not
if
stopping.
you're supposed to quarantine for 14 days,
They're not stopping.
does that mean the whole team is quarantined?
They got 60 players they can pull
But what
from.
about basketball? That's my
I don't
question.
know. Now see, I don't know
Like-
about basketball.
Like all these players decide they're not going to play. Like what's going to happen as soon as if one guy tests positive? Does the whole team have to sit out for 2 weeks? Like there's so many questions that I have. I guess they could. That I'm not even willing to get into discussion as far as like is it right or wrong? But I just want to know the rules. Like what are they going to do?
I don't know. I think they're still. I think at this point it almost might be play it by ear.
Lakers eyeing J.R. Smith
To replace A.B.
Spurs
Bradley.
signing Tyler Zeller. How about that, Tar Heel?
Did the
Tyler
Spurs,
Zeller.
are the Spurs even in still part
Yeah,
of the
they're
22
getting to play.
teams?
Yes, Hunter.
Whatever.
I
Whatever.
get-
I could probably list the teams that are gonna make it
Pacers
on my
Brogdon
hand.
test positive for coronavirus.
I'm not gonna go there. Never mind.
So, like, what do you?
I'm not gonna go there.
Well,
We can
what-
talk about it after.
I'm more worried about like what they're going to do here. Like,
No, I agree. I think it's something that is going to be on a lot of players' minds, first of all, because they're going to be like, well, am I going to play tonight? Am I not going to play tonight? Are we doing a full 2-week quarantine? Is it going to be maybe only a week because we want to get back and play? Am I getting paid extra because I'm playing during this? What is it? They gave to healthcare workers, or they should have. I don't know. It's like risk pay because the risks are so high. Are we getting that? There's going to be a lot of question marks that if they haven't already been brought up, they will be brought up as we get closer and closer to teams coming back to their facilities and actually starting working out to get ready to come back and resume play. There's a lot of unknowns, but I think I heard it best today when I was driving down. I was listening to a show and the host, of course, had somebody on who was an ex-NFL player, and he said, at least for the NFL wise, he asked him. He said, so with the masks, how mask culture is trying to kind of be right now with this, you think NFL and NBA players it's gonna start to be kind of prevalent? And then he looked at me and said, or the NFL player said, they'll follow guidelines. They'll follow guidelines of what the rule set the league says they have to do. But in the locker room, around each other,
you can't
maybe at
play
practices?
you can't play sports with masks.
you
on.
can't play sports with mask on. Try and run on a treadmill with a mask. I
stupid.
promise you cannot play a professional sport
No.
with a mask on. It's not going to happen. So they're just going to, I don't know, it's just going to be something that they're going to have to work around and figure out as they go along. I think that's kind of why we just need sports to come back in general, and it is not only just because so we can have content to talk about and sports to watch. This is essentially going to be trial by error for a lot of this, so that they, going forward, have plans put in place in case something else out of nowhere pops up as highly contagious, and they're trying to protect people. To me, it's like it is trial by fire at this point, trial by error. And you're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it. A lot of people have said at this point, and I'll just say is also what the ex-NFL player said. He said, look, If you play in the NFL, you know good and well you have way other major risks to worry about than catching the coronavirus. He said you got concussions, you got injuries, you got all sorts of things. He said so the coronavirus might not even be your first priority to worry about. It might just be making a 53-man roster that you have to worry about. So you really aren't going to be paying attention to that. So I think it's just trial by fire at this point. And it is just, I think the first week or so, it'll almost be a trial period just to see if anything does happen. If there's an outbreak of maybe 2 or 3 different teams in the NBA when it comes back, I guarantee they'll shut it down.
I think that's what's going to happen in all these sports.
Well, you're already seeing it in college football. They've already started workouts.
What's going to be the reaction?
What is it, 20-plus players at Clemson tested positive for COVID?
And then again, Hunter,
how many are asymptomatic?
We get to a point, that's exactly where I was going with. How bad is it?
That's what I don't. That's why I can't.
Is it bad enough that the mortality? To me, the mortality rate isn't high enough. It's comparable to the flu, to where
we still do stuff with the flu,
right? And the sports thing, that the mask is you just can't do. Are they going to have coaches standing there? And I would imagine every coach on the sideline will be wearing a damn mask, and while the players are standing there not wearing a mask. I'm sure Belichick's going to love his mask protocols.
Is it going to be made out of sweatshirt?
That's a great. He will rip one of his
hoodie
sleeves off and breathe through it. I always thought the only point of breathing through clothing like that was to not smell a fart.
Oh my God. Damn it, Kevin.
What? That's the only thing that I've ever seen anybody. It was that guy. That guy right there. What?
I don't know.
Look at my arm.
Stupid shit. You see guys, and what is it? It's almost a cloth, but they can pull it up.
I'm trying to be serious here, Hunter.
It's
around
their
trying
neck.
To be serious.
It's around their neck, and they can pull it up, and it'll cover their face.
You mean a turtleneck?
No.
Or you have one on right there.
Not the turtle.
Look, you have a blue turtleneck on right there.
No, not the turtleneck. I'm just talking about. It's stretchable material, and it almost takes the place of a mask. I don't know what to call it. I've seen certain people in the NASCAR pit crews wear them.
The golf pro at the sporting goods store I went to the other day had one on. I know
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so they can maybe wear that in like a practice camp where they're maybe not going as hard, and they're just going to be around the people.
Play sports with
I
something on
know
your face.
They can't.
Can you do that? Can you play soccer?
No.
Like trying to breathe.
No, you're asking. That would be like you're asking.
Especially somebody like that plays sports like I do, who relies on speed and endurance as opposed to size and strength. Like I have to breathe.
You would be asking NFL wide receivers. First of all, let's not even go NFL. Just stick with the NBA, where it's back and forth down a court.
When they go
constantly.
to the bench, so they have to put one on when they're on the bench.
An oxygen mask, maybe. I don't know.
All right, so some of the NBA players' complaints and stuff. That was the fun stuff to hear and talk about. Number one, of course, Kyrie. It wasn't Kyrie. Carmelo was concerned with being able to sleep with their wives and girlfriends and/or girlfriends, whatever.
Whatever they are.
Some of the guys are like, I'm not going 2 months without seeing my significant others, even the ones they may pay for. But another one, the one I about fell out of my ass on was Kyrie asking if some of the NBA sponsors were still going to be there providing free stuff, in which he specifically mentioned the adult beverage companies.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyrie, who's not playing, doesn't think they should play because of Black Lives Matters protests, and also he thinks it would look bad on the league. But he's willing to come down there remember, Kyrie's not even playing. So if Kyrie will come down and watch, he wants to know. That was another one of the rules. If you're not playing, can you still come down and be a part of the bubble? And then his next question was, are the sponsors going to be providing free alcohol? Kyrie's main concerns. Let's go over these. 1, 2, and 3. Sex with your wives and a significant other. Will you be able to attend games that you're not even going to be in? And will the sponsors be providing free alcohol for me to get drunk while watching these games? he didn't even get to the accommodations part, which some of the guys were worried about, that some guys were going to be in nicer hotels than others. But one other thing, I guess and they haven't even mentioned it, but I would assume so. Isn't Disney World closed down right now?
Is it?
I think it is.
I think Universal opened back
Did
up.
it? I'll have to check. But what I was going to ask is, it's
It
not
wouldn't
like they're not
surprise
going to
me.
let these guys have the run of the damn theme parks.
Oh yeah, they have like golf courses they can go play on and everything.
There's all kinds of things to
no,
do in
seriously,
Orlando.
like they have all
Right.
accommodations to them.
Orlando is the second largest city Orlando has the second most hotel rooms in the country next to Las Vegas. So when they were complaining about that, I'm like, dude, if they lock down Disney World, you guys can go to all the rides all day long with no wait. Like think about
Fast pass.
think about all these 7-footers in the Small World ride and riding the Peter Pan.
I don't
thing.
know about the theme park of it, but
These are
do
questions
know.
I have.
I'm
I'm worried about that, not whether or not Carmelo's having sex with Lala.
God,
Like, why is that for me to discuss? I want to know if they get free rides on Space Mountain. Listen, Ric Flair said there's a line at Space
Space
Mountain
Mountain.
for a reason, Hunter. That's all you need to know. They asked Ric Flair if he's a ladies' man. He said, folks, there's a line at Space Mountain for a reason.
Listen,
Limousine ride.
all I know,
Limousine riding.
I have just this is a genuine question for you. It's talking about the NBA, and
Alligator boot
I'm
rest.
not talking about if they can ride Space Mountain. So Avery Bradley is the first, obviously, that to opt out of this,
All right.
not having to do with the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going for both sides. Those that are going to opt out for the coronavirus and those that are going to opt out, obviously, for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
Will, depending on who it is, will this shake up the championship landscape?
Yes.
You
LeBron
truly
needs
think
all the
so?
help he can need.
Mhm.
You're telling me, and remember, who have I been saying is going to knock off the Lakers in the West?
The Rockets.
If they don't have Avery Bradley all of a sudden, now who's guarding Russell Westbrook?
J.R. Smith. But J.R. Smith ain't played on the team all year.
It says Lakers hired J.R. Smith to replace Bradley.
I know.
So is that a good thing?
I mean, J.R. Smith is just known for his Jackosaurus play style.
Think about it this way: Russell Westbrook hardly comes off the court,
No, he don't.
so they need two guys to guard him, just to run with him. JR's not playing 40 minutes guarding Russell Westbrook. He damn sure ain't guarding. He ain't guarding James Harden at all.
No.
They bet surely to God they wouldn't put him on Harden. Have JR concentrate, play defense. I mean, he had a layup and walked it out of bounds. What was it, the year before or a couple years ago? And LeBron just lost his mind. That was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. But my thing was LeBron probably shouldn't pass him the ball.
I'm just saying because this
gonna be
probably is not going to be
Are
the
you
first
asking me
person.
if Tyler Zeller signing is going to change the league?
No. I'm just saying, depending on who we see decide to opt out, whether it is for the health reasons or for the movement reasons, do you think it's going to change playoff landscapes? Like, of who we're going to sit here and say the champion is going to be? I don't see anybody really from the Clippers organization leaving, but if they do, I still think they're deep enough to make it because they're still going east-west. But the Lakers, Dwight Howard was talking about it. I'm not saying Dwight Howard is the key center point, but they have been known all year as a defensive team.
That's
and
10 and 10 right there.
and if they start losing rim protectors, they start losing guys who go up and get boards. I mean, what was the point of LeBron even pulling in all these guys if all of them are just going to sit out anyways? Because this team is not going to be together next year.
How mad has he got to be?
But he won't voice it.
About Bradley and Howard if they didn't play.
Yeah, but he won't voice it.
You don't think so?
I don't think. No, he won't voice it.
He'll say yes, he will. And you know how he'll do it? He'll do it passive aggressive.
Oh, if they lose,
He'll be like, well, sometimes you find out that people are all in and some people aren't.
Oh.
He'll do something like that, like some type of low end jab to where some people.
I'm just saying. Think about it. Say Milwaukee had two players decide they weren't going to play.
If Dwight Howard doesn't play Hunter,
that just means JaVale McGee plays.
No, think about that. That means as a Lakers fan, you've seen him basically quit on the Lakers twice.
Twice.
I like Dwight, but
That'd be tough. Oh, they'd run him out of L.A. so fast.
All right,
What
you,
I don't
you mentioned
understand-
Milwaukee.
I'm just saying, like,
I thought Brogdon he plays for the Pacers.
Yeah, he
I saw
plays for the
that.
Pacers.
So Milwaukee, I think you're 100% right. If something happened to a player to a Milwaukee, that's when something happens in the East that you're like, whoa, what's going to happen?
maybe even somebody from the Celtics said that it messes up their core rotation. And, of course, and I'm saying this lightly because he's still an NBA player, but it is just Avery Bradley. And you have to almost throw a coin and wish upon it that he drops you 20-plus a night. He plays good defense.
Well, he's not there to score.
He plays good defense, but now you don't have his defense. And now just take that away and say maybe, that's what I'm getting at, though. Is like, just say maybe it is a key player for some team that is just like, I can't. Either I'm afraid of Corona or I'm getting ready to just come out here and focus on the movement.
Teams with bad depth can't afford to be losing.
No, they can't afford it. They
guys.
can't afford it. But that's why I'm so surprised. Because I'm not saying the Lakers have bad depth. They don't have good depth. They're old. And this is literally their year to try and win a championship. And Avery Bradley has just decided, I get it. You feel very strongly about the movement. But this was your opportunity to win a championship this year. This team is made up of a bunch of one-year deals and a bunch of guys that are on veteran year deals. This is not going to be the same Lakers team next year. And we have been lucky that LeBron has obviously still been able to stay in this shape. Who's to say he's going to be the same next year? Anything can happen, especially with how short your offseason is going to be if they want it to come back December 25th. LeBron's used to playing deep series anyways, playing deep into the season, but he usually has 2 or 3 months in between before they even start summer or workouts back up. Now, you're asking him to start back up almost a month and a half after the season is over? I'm telling you, man, Avery, I get it. You're all in for the movement. But this might have been your only opportunity to win a championship. People say it's bigger than sports. I get that. But you could have used this platform for what you're trying to say and still go on to try and win a championship. Those things, they don't just hand them out. This ain't participation trophies. No.
So, speaking of participation trophies, I got some more. This kind of goes down the Trevor Bauer thing. There was Bleacher Report came out with their ranked every number one pick since 2000. The disrespect for Dwight Howard on this one is just insane.
What did they do best?
The number one overall pick since 2000. Number one was LeBron.
That's easy.
Number 2. Got a guess? I'd have Dwight at number 2.
Since 2000. Now I have to sit here and think about number one overall picks.
Like, Dwight led his team to a championship.
Did they put Kyrie Irving there?
Not 2. He's 3.
Huh?
Kyrie's 3.
Well, it's because he's got a championship, but...
Right. And nobody else on this list does. So that's why I don't understand why Dwight isn't 2 in the fact that he single-handedly led his team.
Well, tell me who 2 is, because...
Give me a sec. Dwight single-handedly led his team pretty much to a championship round. The starters on that team, folks, were Jameer Nelson, Hedo Turkoglu. Redick might have been starting on that team. So
Jameer Nelson wasn't bad, but
Dwight's a Hall of Famer. Number 2, Anthony Davis.
He don't got a championship.
What has he done?
What has he done with...
Has he won a playoff series?
No, but he has won a playoff game. Actually, I think they won a series last year.
They might have.
Yes, they did, because they upset somebody. They weren't supposed to win that. Was he playing? Yes.
I'll make sure I pull this. But so he obviously hasn't led his team to
a finals appearance.
He played in the playoffs in 2015. Anthony Davis did, and 2018. In 18, they did win in the first round. So Anthony
they beat
Davis,
like the Rockets, didn't they?
I'm not sure.
They upset somebody because they weren't supposed to win that series. It was kind of a shock.
But he in 9 games he averaged 30 points. Didn't get out of the second round. So in Anthony Davis's 7 seasons, he's not got out of the first round. And give you an idea, the 7th season, is usually, and the reason I like to use in the 7th because that's when Jordan won his first championship. You can win 6 in the next 8 years.
Well, when did LeBron win his first championship?
It was 7th or 8th.
I was going to say.
You need that many years to get good, get a good team, put it all together. So Anthony Davis.
Kobe didn't win it out of the gate, so.
But the thing about it is, those guys at least got out of the first round.
Yeah.
Earlier in their careers,
yeah. LeBron
as opposed to winning a championship.
As much hate as I give LeBron, sometimes I'll admit it. Man, I mean, the dude was talented enough to just piggyback that team for a little while.
Right.
Eventually, it got old, and he had to go somewhere to win because they just didn't put anybody around him outside of the aging team that he already had.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can understand Kyrie sitting there at 3. I agree with you. I don't understand Anthony Davis sitting there at 2.
You ready for 4? Blake Griffin.
He wasn't even the best player on that Clippers team.
Over Dwight Howard.
Is Dwight after him?
Dwight's 5. They've got Blake Griffin over Dwight.
How many of these? So wait, it's 20.
Wow. He's never got out of.
So there are 20 There are 20 first overall picks on
this
this
is the
list.
top 10.
Where's John
This is
Wall
10.
sitting at?
9.
9?
Mm-hmm.
Who's in front of him?
Number 1 is LeBron James.
Got it.
Number 2 is Anthony Davis.
Got it.
Number 3 is
He's better than AD.
Number 3 is Kyrie Irving.
If Kyrie didn't have a ring, okay.
If Kyrie don't hit one shot,
No, I know that.
It's
That's
not
how he
even
got
a
his.
ring.
Well,
It's
still,
just
but
one
that's how he
shot.
got his ring. Okay, so there 4.
Blake Griffin.
Blake
is a 4,
Griffin.
above
Excuse
Dwight
me.
Howard. Above
Dwight.
Howard.
Okay, Dwight I can put in front of him because he's made a finals. John Wall hasn't.
You can say they're the same player, but Dwight's a better defender.
Okay,
Dwight's a
so
better
you
rebounder.
said John is 9.
Shit.
Who's sitting at 6?
Yao Ming.
Okay.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay,
Yao's career is obviously short.
who's sitting at 7?
Oh, you're not going to be happy with that one.
I probably won't. Is it
Cat.
Karl Anthony Towns? Damn, people, y'all don't know how to show some damn respect to somebody. He ain't played in, a year and a half because of injury? Dude!
Karl Anthony Towns is your...
Karl Anthony Towns
Right.
above John Wall.
Yes.
John Wall holds 3 or 4 franchise records for Washington. He has won playoff games and playoff series.
But he's the Cat.
Damn!
Number 8.
So this is the one in front of John. Right in front of him.
You probably won't argue. They're the same player, pretty much. Currently, I would say Wall's probably a better player, but this guy has slightly more accolades. Derrick Rose.
Oh, man. I'll give it to Derrick Rose.
Kind of the same player.
Yes.
I see.
John Wall's
those two.
better on defense than Derrick Rose is.
Mm-hmm.
John Wall is faster than Derrick Rose is. Both of them couldn't shoot worth a shit, but you're not stopping them when they get to the rack.
Speaking of not shooting worth a shit.
The only thing differently, really, is you're right. At least Derrick Rose has made a Eastern Conference Finals.
And he's won the MVP.
And he's won the MVP.
Right.
You're 100% correct. I think they both probably have a Rookie of the Year or something as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
D Rose in 2008, Wall 10. I mean, if I'm taking one today, I'm taking Wall. No, it's not even a question. But
that's
I
just
guess
so disrespectful. That's just
I think if
so disrespectful.
Wall might
to
be
put-
ahead of him if he hadn't got hurt these last 2 years. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's missed basically 2 years,
which is why we've been in the damn shitter.
Yeah.
But you know,
And speaking of not being able to shoot at all, Hunter,
people might say that's biased too, because John Wall is my favorite player, and I love the Wizards. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. He has accomplished more, definitely than Karl Anthony Towns has. I can promise you that. He has accomplished you can almost say just as much, if not about the same as Anthony Davis. So for Anthony Davis to be sitting at 2 on this list is ridiculous. Kyrie Irving, just because he got a championship, I think John Wall is a better team player than Kyrie Irving.
To me, it looks like they did, Hunter. Who's the best? Well, maybe not. That ain't what they did. I don't know what the hell they did. Because, I just can't put, under any circumstances, Blake Griffin ahead of Dwight. I mean,
he's better. Yeah,
what did he do? Beat him in a dunk contest one time?
Beat him
Was
in a
Dwight
dunk
that dunk contest? Griffin
No,
won?
I don't know. I don't believe
Seems
so.
like he might have been, but I'm not 100% sure. Dwight was in a bunch of.
Think
of
about it.
them.
Blake. Like, who is the more talented player, Blake Griffin or John Wall?
Mm-hmm.
It's John Wall. They're probably just going to give it to Blake Griffin because Lob City while he was with the Clippers.
That's funny. Hunter says that as a soccer player, he just peered into the crystal ball of my thoughts about basketball players,
I am not just a soccer player. I'm an athlete. I just decided to focus on one sport.
what I'm saying is, a lot of people will look at, as far as basketball players, and this will be the argument some LeBron fans would give you over Michael, is that he's taller. Well, there's a lot of taller.
Yeah,
people. That's
what they said about Mike. They said there's not at 6'6", he won't come in here and dominate the league.
How many hundreds of millions of people on this planet are taller than me that I could beat at basketball?
I will give Kyrie. I'll give Kyrie over John.
Hunter, my dad
at this point.
My dad's 3 inches taller than me. I'll kick his ass at basketball. LeBron's 3 inches taller than Michael. You know, Michael. I mean, Todd McCullough is 6 inches taller than Michael.
Dog, I didn't know that was John's nickname.
What?
Optimus Dime. That is sick.
It's a good name, but some of those nicknames on the pro reference stuff, like what you just said, like I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it either.
Hunter's a Wizards fan has never heard of that.
But I'll tell you what, it's pretty damn sick.
Optimus Dime.
Optimus Dime. Uncle Drew. Yes, Kyrie. Anyways, I just looked at this. I mean,
listen, the guys, the talent from the guys that are 6 foot to 6'6" and on this planet at basketball is just insane. I would say the taller you get, the less talented.
Because you get just so unless you learn how to use it, you're just so awkward trying to move your limbs like that. Unless you just have great body control.
Well, think
you're
about how
very
frustrating
awkward.
it is as a guard.
Well, that's why Anthony Davis is so talented. He went from a guard and just had a crazy growth spurt.
Right. You're 100% right.
Crazy
Garnett
growth
did the same thing, and you got to think as far as a guard, when they say he's got guard skills, that means he's got skills, right? Like he's got basketball skills. So it's frustrating as a guard, especially a point guard. Let's say I could be a point guard at North Carolina. What if you're the third string point guard at North Carolina? Can you dribble, shoot, pass, play defense probably than the starting center or backup center at Carolina? You probably do better than all that. And you're the third string point guard. But he gets 28 minutes of playing time because he's 7 foot tall. And a lot of people don't get that in basketball. Being tall is a skill, according to some people. I don't think we'll ever see a Muggsy Bogues get drafted again. We had Keywan Pryor. The evidence of Hunter. How many pro Division I teams are there? And not one of them could say, you know what? Let's give this kid a shot at running back, Hunter. How many running backs do teams have? 5, 6, 7 on the. I'm talking about when they have on the 100-man roster.
Oh yeah.
Think about it. These colleges have 100-man rosters, and this kid may be the best runner I've ever seen in person in my life on a high school football field. And he's going to Catawba, and then you've got guys. I know a quarterback that went to one of these schools where I would say, you know, he may be the 10th best quarterback from that school. He just transferred to a big time college school to play. And comparatively speaking, skill wise, he's not even close to Keywan Pryor. And Keywan's going to Catawba. Again, Keywan might be playing baseball there too as well. But damn, Hunter, people look at this stuff all the time. For us to have another Muggsy Bogues, I'm not sure it'll ever happen. We got close with Nate Robinson was 5'9". But think about that.
Isaiah Thomas is small.
They are half a foot taller.
This age, Isaiah Thomas.
Nate Robinson is 5'9", and he's half a foot taller than Muggsy Bogues.
I want people to understand something. Nate Robinson, if he was
might be the best,
average NBA size,
he might be the best athlete of all time.
Could have been the best athlete
he was
the
a corner
NBA
at
has
Washington.
ever seen.
He was a corner in college football, Hunter.
I'm telling you.
A cornerback, which to me is, I've always said, those are the best athletes in the world. You have to run backwards.
Keep with the guy that's running forwards full speed.
Who knows where he's
going. You don't know.
You're running backwards, guessing where this guy with world-class speed is going.
I'm telling you. Nate Robinson, at 5, because the average height, let's just do in the 2010s, 6'6". He did that at 5'9". Imagine if he was just 6'2".
I've seen team after team, high school, college, NFL, whatever level, once you get past your starters, you pick guys not on their skills. I would rather have 7 guys on the bench. I would rather have 6 point guards than 3 7-footers that can't do anything. But that's just me. But that kind of leads into the small ball era, Hunter. You'd think that the teams would look more of that. All right, let's wrap up the show today. We'll get more in depth in it on Saturday with Terry and Tom here. But we're going to talk a little Talladega to finish up the show. Good racing. Pretty much the whole race. They were pretty safe. Nobody taking any chances for a lot of the race.
Till the end.
Till the end, we started pushing and bumping. Kevin Harvick and
The end
kissed
got
my ass
kind of shitty
for wrecking Jimmy. And he had a chance to get back up in there. But I didn't think Jimmy had a winning car. And the reason I say that, when you're watching it, if you watch him, he had a bunch of chances, Hunter. And if you listen to the announcers, you'll know that if you're in the top 12 at Talladega, you have a chance to win with like 2 to 3 laps.
Yeah.
He would get to a spot where he would be in the front of the line, whether on a restart or he would get in front of a line and they would try to go. And every time he was in the front, the line stalled. So I knew by watching that he didn't have that extra oomph. And Harvick got in the back of him.
Yeah.
Harvick should have let up. He could have passed him in the next corner, probably with the way Jimmy's was pulling on that. But, yeah, we talked. I don't think it was a big deal. It's not. I don't think Jimmy was going to win anyway. But you shouldn't be getting wrecked for no reason like that from other people. Now let's quickly touch on the results and everything real quick as I wrap that up. I want to make sure we get over that. So the winner,
it was close
at the line. What a race! And you're right. Did you see Amarola cross it backwards? Did you see the photo finish when they showed that? Amarola, I think 3rd or 4th. He ended up going across the line backwards. Some Ricky Bobby style finishing there.
Everybody just got fucking blown up there at the end, man.
Well,
that last half stretch, it just got to shit.
Yeah, Blaney ended up. He tried to. He basically put him in the wall. Stenhouse in the wall. Stenhouse had the fastest car all day long. Every time he was out there, he was moving. And after the race, he said something to the fact of, "I thought we could win today, dude. You got beat by 6 inches. Like, yes, you could have won today." He was like, I really thought we could win. He was kind of like, he acted like he was disappointed. I thought we could get there. I'm like, dude, you lost by 6 inches. I watched a race the other day, Hunter, went on a movie with my kids at Little Rascals, and they won by alfalfa hair. So, you can win by just the smallest of margins, and it still counts. But, the wrecking there at the end is kind of fun. It was very, very, very close. So what they're going to do this weekend.
Well, who did they give it to? I can't remember.
Oh, Ryan Blaney.
That's what I thought.
So let's talk about Blaney for a little, real quick. Ryan Blaney is, from what they were saying pretty much on the broadcast and everything, is best friends with Bubba Wallace. In 2019, Blaney had the same style as Bubba, and they have pictures of Blaney's garage. And so I don't know if you're 100% familiar with the story. So basically what happened was someone from Bubba's team, we don't know if it's a mechanic, we don't know if it's a publicist. I'm leaning towards publicist agent type person. Came into the garage and said they had found a noose in Bubba's stall. So they had a big day of celebration. This is what I want. I'm going to put it this way, Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
If it was true, I think NASCAR had a good day and handled it well. But it turned out not to be true.
Right.
And what NASCAR made the mistake doing then, I believe, is not waiting for the investigation and publicizing it immediately. Now, if you're in NASCAR's position, you got a couple things to think about. Everyone's going to find out about this at some point, obviously. So do we want to?
It's major media.
Do we want to come out in front of it and say it, or do we want to let the race go and then Bubba say something after the race about it, and then that would be the big news, and they would say NASCAR tried to cover it up. So what do? They publicized it, called it. The FBI called them, and they sent 15 FBI agents to Talladega. Richard Petty got it. I guess he got in a plane. I would imagine
He put out a statement.
Well,
It was a great statement.
Well,
too.
Richard went to the race, and he hadn't been attending races since the Corona came out. So that was the thing about with the King is Richard Petty got down there, and Kevin Harvick came up with the idea they should push him down the track. And honestly, I thought they should just let him. They should let him lead. But they couldn't. There's a rule like you can't. There's a bunch of NASCAR rules. You can't do certain things, and they could have done a couple things. I thought they did a real good job with it all. I thought they handled it well at that point for what they thought was going on. What was weird to me, a little bit weird, is that, and I felt bad for Bubba in the sense that let's put ourselves in his thought process. He didn't find it, right? He's not the one to report it. So they're telling him, they're showing him, they're saying this is what happened. Well, he stood up and took a picture, and all the guys followed him. Well, if this is true that someone put a noose in there, the person who did it is in that picture.
100%.
So,
because that's what I told. That's what I told my dad. I said, Dad, if this is true, I don't think you realize it wasn't just some crazed fan, because this is in the pits. Like it's in the garage
during this time.
Yes,
like the folks that aren't NASCAR fans, during any other time, there's tons of fans around the place.
But as of right now, there's nobody except track officials and team members are back there.
So, what I believe may have happened is someone from Bubba's team found it. Obviously, thought it was a noose. Maybe it wasn't someone on that team not familiar with A, racing, B, the stalls, and how they're set up. So basically, what they found was it's not a noose. It's a tied loop of a rope on a garage rope. So Talladega doesn't have automatic garage door openers.
You got to pull them up and pull them down.
They don't have electric garage door openers. So my thing, Hunter. So let's go from there. At that point, when whoever found it and reported it to NASCAR, here's where the mistakes were made. They went to publicize it to talk about it without doing an internal investigation first, and then that led immediately to the FBI investigation. To me, it would seem someone at the track, whether it's one of the crew chiefs, one of the drivers, the janitor, someone at the track should have done this.
Wait,
hey guys, I think that's the garage door handle. And then all this could have been skipped over, missed. It put a black eye on the sport for 2 days, basically. And all the people, of course, in the national media were ripping NASCAR. And that's one of the things, you know, as a fan of, you watch the sport. I've never once on TV heard them say anything racial in the history of watching and listening to it. I've never heard them do any of that. I've never heard. And the way that people stereotype people and things in this day and age is,
that's how they talked about it when I was listening to it today. Obviously, they were going over what had happened and obviously the FBI's findings. One guy had said it was the most controversial and divided sport in America. And I'm like,
so
is it though? Just because there's only one black driver? I mean, could you almost make the same? Are you going to make the same claim about hockey because there's not many black hockey players?
Again,
is it just based off fan base?
Fans or people, let's say people, don't understand about the steps it necessarily takes to be a NASCAR driver.
It's not that easy.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you have to pour into it to be that leads itself to, I would say, a lot of family members, a lot of people in the racing industry supporting each other, and you have to love the sport and be able to afford it. I can love it all I want. I can watch it all I want. But
Doesn't mean you
I
can
don't have
afford
the
a
money
car.
to put my son in a. There's no training program. There's no nothing to do. Jesse has a car and he's still going to college, trying to do something else maybe. Because you just don't know as far as the cars, the sponsorships. And like Andre asked the other day, he said, so they put Bubba in a bad car? I'm like, that's not exactly how it works, as opposed to, it's not like they're playing with, bad footballs or certain teams.
Because think about it. If you wanted it, if you thought your fan base was that divisive,
Right.
why would you not try and put Bubba Wallace in one of the best cars?
Right. And,
Think about it.
And also,
because then you would be like, now we're inclusive. Look at this. We have a black driver as one of the faces of NASCAR, which essentially he really is, even though he's not winning, because he is the only black driver. They did the same thing with Danica Patrick being the only woman driver.
Right.
It's not that I think NASCAR is just so divisive, because it plays into the same thing that nobody would just say about hockey. There are not many black hockey players. They're just not. And and I guess if that's the case, then it almost... Then that's when you bring up race. You're like, well, why is there not?
I was getting to a...
They make the same exact claims on why there's not a lot of black head coaches and black, supervisors in the NFL and NBA.
I don't think people understand, Hunter. It's more of a... People who aren't fans say it's a redneck sport, running cars, blah, blah, blah. They don't take into account the amount of money that it takes. It's almost... akin to tennis, or golf, where you have to have money to be good,
so you can always practice it.
These guys running these cars didn't grow up in the poor. I would say the guys who make it in NASCAR probably didn't. 90%, I would say this. Most of them didn't grow up in the poorhouse, as far as what I meant, and to where you have to be able to afford to race. It's not like, if you're going to be basketball, you can own one basketball.
You can work your way out of poverty in football and basketball and in baseball
and other sports. You have to pay to play golf.
You have to pay
Tennis
to get on a tent. Well, it depends on where you go.
You can play on free city courts.
But most of the time, they're like, when you want to get good, what do? You take tennis lessons.
You got to get lessons. You got to get training. Trust me. Hunter, I didn't know there was 4 different ways to hold a tennis racket. Did you?
No, I don't even care.
But there's 4 different grips to do a tennis racket. I don't know. I just know I got waxed by some chick at Appalachian in tennis class.
I don't know. Just
she knew what she was doing. And
I think the whole, what is it? They always tell you, don't judge a book by its cover, and people have had a stigma about NASCAR, and I just don't think it's as true as people believe it to be. Yes, there were those crazy ass, wild, wacko bastards that were out in front of Talladega parading their Confederate flags. Sure, there was a guy that was parading it over with a airplane. Absolutely. But don't almost blame a whole fan base for something that just a few crazies would do.
Right.
It's one thing to have Southern pride, and then it's another thing just to be racist as hell. They do not coincide. They are different.
One problem, George.
This comes obviously from someone from the South in North Carolina.
George Orwell in his book 1984, nailed a lot of the stuff that's happening today, and it's weird and freaky. One of the things that bothers me, Hunter, is you and me can sit here and we can write a word down, and it means 2 completely different things.
Yes.
To each other. So and I can sit here and read a sentence, and instead of people on the internet or wherever taking you at face value for the exact words that you said, they will interpret and spin it what they think you meant. I can say, I like blue skies.
Does that mean you don't like red skies?
That's exactly what I meant. You'll get a network or someone else who says,
you don't like sunsets?
Kevin hates purple skies.
Kevin hates it when the sun goes down.
Kevin loves blue skies, but didn't mention the dark skies or the light skies or whatever it is. So for example, if I say
light blue or dark blue?
For example, if I tell you or tell someone that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, did I just say anything about LeBron? Did I mention LeBron's name?
Nope.
Did I did I say anything about any other player?
Nope.
But on the internet, I would be called a hater for saying I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player who's ever played. Nothing in there was hateful. Nothing in there was divisive. Nothing in there was mean or bad or anything. It was, I believe that Jordan's the best. And people come back and they say, you hate LeBron. Being second best at something, folks, is not an insult.
Because some of us ain't even third best.
Not being as good as Albert Pujols or Barry Bonds at baseball is not an insult.
For God's sakes, we just spent a whole segment on here telling you how hard it is to even be a pro in general.
And what it definitely is hate. How the word hate, please try, if you would do your best to get it out of your vocabulary in a fact of you're a hater. That right there means what you're trying to say is that you're not a fan of LeBron. That's totally different than saying you hate someone. You're a hater.
Hate has such a negative connotation to it because the way that it's used now, it is almost as if you are wishing for somebody not to succeed.
By saying someone is good, someone is number one, and not even mentioning anyone else. Like, you can literally go on the internet, Hunter, and say, this president is the best president ever. This basketball, this baseball, this football player is the best president ever, best football player ever, best whatever ever. Not mention another person, not mention another thing in this world. And you can get some hateful and dreaded replies. You get hateful replies calling you a hater. But
they're hating you.
So that's one of the things as far as one of the major things, as a media major, and you see this stuff in today when we're changing words, when you
lose journalistic integrity.
Well, there hasn't been journalistic integrity probably since the mid 2000s at this point. Everything is turned into opinion pieces. And then, say, for the New York Times, when they publish an opinion piece on someone who's not a liberal, that person is fired. So we used to have a world/country where we could talk about things, disagree with it, and then go play golf. And then go drink a beer together. And then, that guy's okay. He just looks at things different than me.
Yeah.
But instead, we have a topic. And instead of, hey, this guy's misguided, I see their point of view, why they look at it this way.
A lot of stuff that
hater,
you see now, of it is
nuts.
what you see now, is people just have to be careful about it. And I know we're pushing Tizzy in the show, but it's be careful with what you think is real journalism and what is yellow journalism. And a lot of people don't know what yellow journalism is. And I know the phrase, and I had to just, so I could give you the definition. It's, yellow journalism or yellow press are American terms for journalism and associated newspapers that present little or no legitimate, well-researched news using eye-catching headlines to increase sales. And that's really what you have to watch out for is, some people will just see something on the internet. They'll see a headline. My father does it every now and then. I love you to death, Dad, but sometimes when I tell you to get off Facebook, I tell you that for a reason. Unless you research it and try and get it from a credible source and find it multiple credible source places, it could just be yellow journalism where they're trying to get money off of clicks. You just got to be careful today.
Don't you think that there's more... I'm trying to word that.
I'll tell you what's got a bunch of yellow journalism. Yeah, you don't even consider journalism. YouTube. It's clickbait central. If they don't catch you with the flashy title, then they don't get the views and they don't get the ad revenue. That's my TED Talk.
Well, it's the whole, of knowing there's so much money involved and stuff.
But it does tie back into the NASCAR because all the facts weren't there. And they pushed it out, and I'm not saying that they lied because obviously it looked like a noose.
If you're an average American,
it was just, to me, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction.
Right, yeah.
That's exactly what it was a knee-jerk reaction.
If you're an average American and you hear NASCAR, noose, do you even look at the story, read the story, or you just say, yeah, that's what I expected, that's NASCAR? Because that's the way they've been branded by outside for years.
That's the stigma that has been placed on NASCAR fans.
Do you think more people saw that headline and that story than the same people who saw, oh, that was just a garage pour down. Because after all of that,
I'll tell you what, even NASCAR front office probably saw Noose, NASCAR, black driver Bubba Wallace, his garage.
Yep.
That's what they saw. Other than, let's maybe look a little bit deeper.
So with all of that rounded back into, again, I didn't think anything NASCAR did as far as the reaction to what they thought happened was wrong.
I think we both can agree they handled it and put out a statement correctly.
I think all of that was handled right. The walking out, the national anthem, all of that was rich. I think all of that was pretty well done, and the sport came together pretty well. The mistake was, again, rushing to put it out before they talked to one redneck in the garage. One person in Alabama could have told them that that's a garage door handle. Now, with that said, did you see, and now, yesterday, Bubba Wallace, you see what he did last night? Have you seen his interview last night?
The interview last night where he said he didn't care, where he said he didn't care? But essentially he said he didn't believe it.
Right. So basically, I was with Bubba up until yesterday afternoon. Here's the timeline yesterday afternoon. He announced at like noon or 1 or 2 that he was going to be on CNN that night.
I think they were just playing it, but I didn't have the audio on.
Right. So he announced that, and I was like, that sounds about right. So hold on, I'm typing something in. And he goes on there, and I talked about it with my wife before he went on there. I'm like, I honestly don't know what Bubba's going to say now, because the FBI has come out and pretty much said it's the door pull down. Okay, so if you've come out and you've did all the things you did yesterday and all this stuff, I'm not asking for an apology at all.
No, I don't think he needs to apologize at all.
What I'm saying, what was his gonna?
To me, the only thing he maybe should have said was, I'm just glad that it was just a miscommunication.
Right. I was hoping and thought that that's what would happen.
Yeah.
He would come out and say, so apparently this is miscommunication. It was a garage pull down. It does look in the shape of a noose if you look at him. It's just a circle on a road. Most people don't know.
Essentially, him just saying, "I'm glad that it wasn't.
Right.
I'm glad that it was just something."
So I thought that's where me and her were talking about, and I'm like, that's where he probably should go. But this is CNN.
Oh, I know.
And folks, there is a such thing as media bias. There's 5 of the 6 companies that are owned by leftist media corporations or liberal, whatever.
People that don't know it. Only 8 companies own most of the major media corporations in the United States,
right.
And 85% of them are
all but one.
I was going to say all but one of them are owned by, if you just want to say liberal companies.
So we know for a fact
they'll push their agenda.
We know for a fact from the last few years that CNN will push / have a certain agenda. So we started brainstorming during the day what was going to happen on this interview tonight. I said, honey, the way that CNN works, they've really only got one way to do this, and is
to make it look bad.
I assumed Bubba was going to say all that. What I thought they would do would be like, say that first. This will be the first 60 seconds of the show will be Bubba saying it was all a mistake and that. And then, because you got to remember what happened the week before, well, that weekend, they banned the flag.
The flag.
What I thought would happen was they would talk the first 2 minutes about the mistake and how we've got it situated. All my friends are here in NASCAR.
Yeah.
We love each other. So I thought Bubba was going to be like, we all love each other. We had a good day.
Right.
We're good now. There was no racism. There was no racist act. And then I thought, then CNN will do the thing and just hammer the Confederate flag for 45 minutes or wherever the show was. I figured that's what they would do. I was like, that's the only angle they got. I honestly did not think Bubba was going to come on and say he doesn't believe the report, basically. It's not his exact words, but he came up and said it was a noose. The FBI has repeatedly said it was a noose. But whether or not the FBI said it was a noose or not, they said it was not a hate crime, and they also said it was part of the garage door. So it was a noose as the garage door handle. So he can use that word. He's using the word. And here we are again. Like I said, we always end up arguing over what words mean. What is the word? Bill Clinton started this in 96. What is it, or whenever it was? What does the word is mean? What does is does is mean is? So
I mean,
I thought
you know
that's where they
why?
go. So now
It's because
real quick, let me
technic-
finish up.
yeah.
So what I think, Hunter, is that I was on Bubba's side. I thought it was all an accident and all that, and we were going to sweep it under the rug. It was over. We all learned the sport's better. And then what he did by denying it is just he went on and basically agreed with the message of whatever CNN had before it went apart. And I felt bad for Bubba before the interview, because think about, Hunter, if it was a hoax. Well, and I don't think it was a hoax. I think it was a misunderstanding. There's a difference between hoax and misunderstanding.
Right.
I think it was a misunderstanding. And Bubba, think about the emotions that he dealt with for 2 days over it, thinking that it was real. And now that it's not real. And I felt bad that he even had to deal with having to deal with it. And then now it turns, and then he comes on CNN once they find out it's not real, comes out
and says that I don't believe that it's not real.
So I don't know what to think on that.
I think it's just
there's something.
when you keep using the word noose, there's already such a negative connotation to it. People don't realize people use noose knots for different things. Absolutely, like it's.
Well, one of the points everybody's pointing out is the noose is a slip knot. It slides up and
slip
down.
knot, yes.
The knots on the NASCAR garages are not sliding. They're tight, so you can pull the damn garage door down. And so, again, Hunter, my thought process was it was a mistake by a publicist or sponsor or someone. Then it was a mistake by NASCAR to not
internally
investigate it for at least an hour or 2 hours, figure out from their standpoint what it is. We still haven't seen the picture on the internet of the said news. We still haven't seen.
I thought I did.
No, they haven't put any pictures out of anything. They showed his stall where the noose used to be.
I thought that's what I thought it was yellow and it was a small little rope.
That was on a different stall. Bubba's stall, the rope's hanging there. But there's no loop on it right now. So the question is, did someone cut the loop off and take it to NASCAR thinking this is a noose, or did they untie the loop? Because there was still a string in Bubba's garage. That's what you saw.
That's the only way you're gonna pull the door down.
So what I'm asking is, did someone untie the loop, or did they cut it off and give Bubba and NASCAR the loop that they actually used? And why has that picture not been on the internet? And I think that's where NASCAR made the mistake of the internal investigation putting it out. Then after all that, from that mistake until yesterday when the announcement was, I don't really think anybody made any mistakes. But then once that happened, Bubba, listen, I know we're in certain times and things like this, but when something didn't happen, it doesn't help to still push that it did. And that's where he'll lose fans. You could defend anything that he did and everything that him and Richard Petty and NASCAR did up until I think that CNN interview last night. Honestly, I don't think I have no reason to not pull for him or any. I don't think anyone would or should have a reason not pull for him up until then. But then last night, him sitting there saying that he basically doesn't believe that it wasn't a hoax or whatever it was, disagreeing with the FBI outcome, I guess is the best way to put it, makes you just wonder, like, man, what's going on and what they're doing. So that's the difficult part for me is understanding that exact point. So this weekend we'll have racing in Pocono, 2 races, and we're going to talk about that with Terry, and we'll get Tom and Terry's thoughts on that for this weekend. It was a good race. Saturday they'll have a 325 race, Sunday 350. I don't know why there's even a difference. Saturdays on Fox, Sunday FS1, both of them, of course, on WCSL, 1590 AM.
Y'all still doing? You're gonna have Tom and Zach come in next week for you?
They should. Are you not gonna be here?
No. Next, I'm going to vacation for a week, family vacation. So
We'll Hunter line up so we can tell everybody bye today. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today.
thank you for tuning in,
to Shock Joxx Sports Podcast.
even with our technical difficulties.
We had all kinds of technical difficulties, but we're getting them settled in. We're here Mondays and Wednesdays at 2 o'clock, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Tune in live on Facebook. Watch the replays on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And then, of course, the, what are they called? The podcast on Spotify, Apple Tunes, and more. I wonder why that didn't fit the whole thing. I guess I didn't do the fitting right. Hunter, no president has a thumbs up in their picture. You're covering up your face.
All right.
We'll see you guys next. We'll see you Saturday. KTC Broadcasting.com.